want us all to create space for what we are about to embark on today. So I figured what better than a nice deep belly breath to bring us all together and center us, because what we've got going on today is a little bit intense. So we need that extra deep breath. So breathe in with me. Ground yourself, be present, make space, and breathe out. Feels good, doesn't it? Welcome back. And welcome to Leo season. I'm recording this on the day of the new moon in Leo. And if you don't know, my sun sign is Leo, and there's truly no better time to talk about fire and the element of fire than right in the heat of Leo season. If you're not up to date on astrology, or if you're not into astrology, it's all okay. No one's going to yell at you. But I'd like to incorporate it into my life a lot and be really in touch with it because it just helps so much. The astrological sign of Leo is a fire sign, one of the 3 fire signs. We have Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. So right now, it's August, and it's the heat of the summer. It's all of that buildup, and August is always a time of intense transformation and change. And I don't believe in coincidences, so I really like to connect the fact that August is Leo season, and Leo is a fire sign, and fire is so transformative. I'd like to make this into a mini series and talk about each of the elements. We've got fire, water, air, and earth, and dive deep into the way that these elements work within us through this life that we're living. And I want to start with fire because it's the one that I'm most closely connected to for a few reasons. I do have a little bit of a bias towards fire because it's the element that embodies a lot of my astrological chart. I'm a Leo sun, an Aries moon, and a Sagittarius rising. So yeah, nice to meet you. I'm a fiery person. It says so in my chart, and I feel it in my life, in my heart. This really just means that I'm very well connected to the element and the ways that it can ignite you and all of the ways that it can burn you out. So that's what inspired me to want to talk about fire and sort of light up our lives a little bit, mix it up a little. Yeah, let's just dive deep into the element of fire, what it means for us, how it can help us. I have such a deep appreciation and fascination with the fire element. I think it's why whenever I'm connecting to spirit or I'm manifesting, I love to burn incense and just watch the smoke, just dance in the air, dance with the sun and rise. And I'll light some candles, just watching the flames and really using that energy to connect with myself and to see like how it can literally transform in the physical realm. So let's talk about this beautiful element before we get into the different ways that it works for us and within us. Fire is a masculine element. It symbolizes passion, lust, courage, action, drive, and sensuality. But just as brightly as fire burns, it can destroy. And in that destruction, the fire can lead us to a season of drought, purging, leaving us scorched and vulnerable. But it makes room for new growth and new seasons. Fire shows us that our darkest times usually come right after we have burned the brightest. Like anything and everything in life, there is duality to the fire element. Fire can bring out enthusiasm, passion, determination, and bring out that side of us. But on the alternate, an imbalance of fire leads to aggression, impulse, stubbornness, burnout. So finding that balance is the sweet spot where fire can work for us in infinite ways and bring us to a place of higher spiritual connection and allow us to really manifest everything that we want into this physical world. Fire is there to help us do that. Fire brings that energy, it brings the heat, it literally lights up our lives. When I say there is a fire burning within you, I do mean that literally. This goes beyond your astrological chart, because even if you don't have fire anywhere in your chart, it doesn't mean that you literally don't have fire. It might just burn a little differently for you. There's a little fire in all of us, quite literally. Our digestive system and our metabolism, it needs that heat to do the work that it does. It needs that fire energy. So in a literal physical body sense, there is a fire burning within us. And then on a metaphysical, more spiritual sense, the fire that burns within you comes out in your passions. It comes out in the ways that you approach life. Maybe you are someone who always has big ideas and you're always dreaming, and in a sense, you're just in the clouds. You might lack some of that kindling to your fire, and you need to feed the fire. Just start out feeding it and get the ball rolling, sort of pull yourself out of that dreamy state, bring some heat into your life, and then all of those dreams will manifest into your physical reality. So whatever it may look like for you, it's important to feed that fire and learn to play with it so that it begins to ignite through your fingertips, and all of your dreams and manifestations can really come to fruition. I've noticed in a lot of people how easy it is to completely put it out, because learning to play with fire and letting it burn requires a lot of surrender. It requires a lot of discipline. And it forces you out of comfort zones. We talked about our comfort zone in the last podcast episode and how difficult it can be to step out of that comfort, but how rewarding it is to allow that discomfort to work with you. So for some of us, playing with fire and letting it burn through our lives really takes us out of our comfort zone. And it almost requires a childlike energy and curiosity. But to do it right, it needs to be paired with wisdom and discipline. The fire within you can seem daunting and scary to us as it drives us to action. And sometimes the action is what we're really afraid of, because even though we have these big ideas and we know what we want, when we actually get to the point where we're able to enact and enable and work on those big ideas, it scares us, because it's like, wow, it's actually happening. I have to actually put in the work, and there's so much more room now for me to fail. And facing it head on like that, that's where the fire comes into play. So yeah, life can be much easier when you put it out. You'll be tamed. You'll require less kindling, and you don't have to move in any sort of rhythm, because there's no possible way you could get burned. But without that fire within, your days, they might feel sluggish, and it's as if you live with the lights off and the light goes out in your eyes. So when you feel the desire to just put it out, to ignore that sensation in your heart, to the very things that set your soul on fire, that is when we're required to breathe into it, right? To search for that flame within and slowly kindle it. It's a slow burn. You don't want to just completely erupt and go full head on. You want to slowly light the fire, feed it, and watch it grow. And be present as the heat moves through your body and as it moves through your life, and you slowly burn. We're not a forest fire. We're not trying to head towards complete destruction, and we're not trying to destroy everything all at once, right? So search for that flame within, slowly kindle it, give it the air that it needs. Take those breaths and give it the space within you that it needs. Whatever it is for you, whether you're a creative, an artist, or just an alchemist of life itself, don't put out your fire. And don't be so susceptible to the world around you, because the world, or really your perception of it, might try and convince you that your fire is worthless. But don't forget that the so-called world, the so-called they that is telling you that you shouldn't keep burning, it's you. There's really no one else that is in your way. And it's hard to hear this. It's hard to recognize this, and it's hard to live with the fact that you really are the only one in your way. You are the only one with the power, because your fire is within you and it manifests to your external world. No one else can put it out, but no one else can control it. Sometimes too much power overwhelms us. We almost want to blame other people, and we want to blame the world. We want to say that someone else poured water all over us and burnt us out, but you're in control. This is your fire. It's your fire to work with, to play with, to control, to tame. It's your fire to feed, and it's your fire to love. Take a deep breath with that one. I know it's kind of heavy. And then on the other side of it, maybe you are the one who kindles your fire, but you kindle it to the point of burnout. So we've got the two extremes here. We have the one side that would much rather just live a life that is dull, that lacks that heat, that lacks the energy. Living a life that's much easier because you're completely tamed. There's nothing within you that is setting you on fire, that's setting your soul on fire. You're just living, kind of in the in-between, where you realize that you have potential, but you're a little bit afraid to give yourself that heat to truly go for it. And then there's the other side. You're the one that is literally a flame that just erupts. You're like a volcano, and you're constantly erupting, and then you're stuck in the ashes, and it's just a constant cycle of burn and burn out and burn and burn out. So you're at the other extreme. Living in this other extreme can be just as dangerous, and if not more so. The fire within you is not meant to harm you, but I know it can be tempting. When you get a taste of passion, and at first it's a slow burn, but then suddenly you are set ablaze. Your inner turmoil is red hot, hotter than hell, and you're burning from the inside out, scorching anyone that gets in your way, including yourself, especially yourself. And when you burn at this rate, your passion becomes poison. I'm not just talking about creative burnout. I'm talking burnout to the point where you fight fire with fire, and you don't feel sadness. You feel anger. You're never confused. You're only aggressive. Our power as spiritual beings is that we don't need to choose between the desert or the ocean, and we are never asked to. The desert and the ocean coexist within you. So don't burn out to the point where you scorch everything and you burn up, you dry out the ocean that is within you. Allow spaces for water to flow through. Show your true self and get in touch with your vulnerability. If you're in a surplus of flames, find space in your life to express them through you and alchemize it and become the master of your fire within. I've battled intensely with my own fire, and I've felt both extremes. I've been on both ends. I've been the most hot-headed, temperamental, stubborn, scorching version of myself. And it scared me to the point that I went completely lights out. And both ends are scary. Both extremes are scary because when you completely put out the fire, it's, oh man. I mean, I would describe it probably in worldly terms like a depression. And you get stuck there and you don't even know where to look to find the kindling, to rekindle your fire. It's like you're left with nothing. Where do you even start? And I've slowly been emerging from that season of darkness, and the fire within me, it feels warm now. It feels energetic and playful. But in order to get there, I had to find ways to not only slowly rekindle my fire, but to let it burn in a way that's healthy, to let it burn in a way that doesn't take over my entire life, where every situation that I'm in feels like I'm burning from the inside out and everyone around me gets overheated. And I've found different ways. So I've really connected deeply with journaling and dancing and doing yoga, skating, and so many other forms of expression. So I've been using mostly journaling and a lot of yoga because it's a nice play between the mediums, because the yoga helps me move my body and feel into my body, and then the journaling helps me kind of keep track of it and get to know myself a little bit better. And then, of course, my podcast. Hello. Such a good form of expression for me. It's the expression that I really think that I needed and has been helping me heal myself so much. So I've been finding my equilibrium, and I've got to say, I have been loving my fire, and I have a lot of it. But the more that I express myself and alchemize this fire, the more I feel my fire burn for love as opposed to fear. And of course, life is just an ebb and flow, and I may always be searching for that equilibrium, but I'm finding so much peace within it. The fire within us, it's our energy, it's what gets us moving and rising and creating. Fire is such an important part of who we are. When fire burns, it hurts, but it's necessary. It's attractive, but it's also destructive. And there's so much to love about it, but there's also a lot to fear about it. But when you allow yourself the space and the time to let the fire work within you, when you allow yourself the space and time to search for that equilibrium, to search for the ways that the fire fuels you instead of burning you, it gives you reasons to wake up in the morning, and it gives you that warm playfulness, that energy of a child. You become a magnet to everything that you want in life. When you learn that the fire is actually there to burn through what is no longer serving you, that's when you find power. So during this final heat of the summer, during this Leo season, and during every season of your life, breathe into your fire. It is your fire, no one else's. It's no one else's to stomp out, and it's no one else's to control. So you can use this element to fuel your life, fuel your passions, fuel your reasons to live, fuel everything within you that you want to alchemize and turn into and manifest into your physical reality. The fire is there to help with you. And as always, trust Spirit. Trust that Spirit is there to help work with you through the fire. As we close up today, I want you to close your eyes and envision the fiery light that burns within you. Just close your eyes and watch as the flames slowly erupt in your body. And you can hold out your hands and imagine that you're holding your own fire and feel its warmth in your fingertips. Feel all of the ways that this fire is here to help fuel your life. You are a source of light. You are eternal. Let's breathe in. And breathe out. Now go out into the world and burn brightly. I love you.